Okay, so today is going to be trying because I'm hopped up on coffee, but I'm going to try to explain something fairly complicated. So it's going to be interesting to see where I end up. Who knows? I might not even post this video. But so my latest blog post, though, it's it's sad. It's about these people who kill in the name of antinatalism. It's sad that they use the philosophy in really inverted ways to to meet their ends. It's tragic, it's heartbreaking, and it's sad, and it's just a point where you have to absolutely renounce violence. Just it's not right. It's completely wrong. It's not antinatalism. You just have to say no. It's too bad that they speak the way antinatalists speak because they do read about it. So that it kind of convolutes like the actual philosophy with violence, and it gets messy. I read a CNN article about Guy Bartkus, um, and one of the FBI investigators, Mary Ellen O'Toole, she was saying that the idea of consent from the unborn isn't based in reality and has no logical validity, which is not true. But given the context of violence in the name of antinatalism, people you can't really argue against it without looking like you're defending the wrong interpretation of antinatalism. So it all gets smushed together, and it all gets convoluted and out of control. So yeah, it's just really sad the way it goes down. But anyway, um, going back to antinatalism, real antinatalism, and the arguments against it and for it, I read this article in Philosophy Break, and it's called Antinatalism, David Benatar's Asymmetry Argument for Why It's Wrong to Have Children. So there's a specific section of it. I mean, there's so much in there, but there's a specific section of it that I want to address. And I'll read it to you. So maybe this is a good way to kind of like set the stage. So I'll read the section that I want to talk about, and hopefully it makes sense to you. I mean, if you've been following my site, you know what antinatalism is, and you know what the symmetry argument is. So I'll just read it, okay? So in a 2021 paper, meanwhile, the philosopher Fumitake Yoshizawa suggests that even if we grant Benatar all his intuitions and premises, the antinatalist conclusion still doesn't follow. Benatar's asymmetry evaluates parts of a life, like pain and pleasure, while drawing conclusions about life as a whole. If we adapt Benatar's asymmetry to instead evaluate life as a whole, it runs like this. 1. A miserable life is bad. 2. A happy life is good. 3. The absence of a miserable life is good. 4. The absence of a happy life is not bad. This follows the exact same asymmetrical logic as Benatar's argument, and it accounts for the other asymmetrical beliefs he draws upon. But there is a global antinatalist conclusion, but here the global antinatalist conclusion doesn't follow. Instead, a more limited local antinatalism follows. In some cases, that is, ones where it's guaranteed someone will have a miserable life, creating life constitutes a harm. But the creation of happy lives is not impermissible. Antinatalists might respond that creating happy lives is ultimately impossible, given the sheer quantity of pain and suffering. The value of life is always a net negative, so procreation remains wrong. So the last part is, that goes into the quality of life arguments. Basically the empirical asymmetries between pleasure and suffering and all that stuff. But the part that interests me is basically the point number 4, where he says the absence of a happy life is not bad. So I'm reading a book right now called Contemporary Antinatalism, and Scott Brill touched on this as well. They're talking about happiness or pleasure as an intrinsic good. And so is Benatar. He's talking about happiness and pleasure as an intrinsic good. But they're treating an intrinsic good as not person dependent. they're treating it as it's good on its own. So it's almost as if we give birth to pleasure, or we give birth to happiness, and then there comes along a person who fills up that happiness or fills up that pleasure, as if the happiness and the pleasure are somehow supersedes a person being in existence. Benatar would say that that's wrong because it's person dependent. It's related to a person. So it's not that the happiness can exist on its own. It's that a person has to come first, and then you make that person happy. The person requires happiness, not happiness requires people. Happiness is not a thing that is sentient or requires people in order to flourish. It's not a person. So I think that's making sense a little bit. But maybe if we look at it a different way. So the absence of a happy life is not bad. I think Yoshizawa is basically saying that happy people is a good thing. But intuitively, the world could be filled with all sorts of happy people right now. Why don't we have a duty to basically bring more happy people into existence? There's maybe an infinite number of people we could bring into existence that would be happy. Why don't we? Right? We don't have an obligation to create happy people. So it's an asymmetry that just doesn't. It's an asymmetry that works in Benatar's favor. And I've been noticing that I've been using AI to kind of like go through all these arguments and all that stuff as well to simplify things. And so far, Benatar keeps coming out on top. Even in the book, Contemporary Anti-Natalism, Rivka Weinberg, David Boonin, Scott Brill, they're all going after David Benatar's asymmetry. That's what the book is. And I've found that they fall flat on their face every single time. I think Benatar's asymmetry, it really does, it works. And maybe I should have okay, so maybe I should have done this first, but here is Benatar's asymmetry. Point number 1, the presence of pain is bad. Point number 2, the presence of pleasure is good. Point number 3, the absence of pain is good, even if that good is not enjoyed by anyone. And 4, the absence of pleasure is not bad unless someone already exists to be deprived of it. So yeah, so pleasure and pain, they're people dependent. They don't exist as things on their own that people then are born and fill that role. Like that, it doesn't work that way. Hopefully that makes sense. It's kind of making sense to me. Some of it is kind of going through contemporary anti-natalism. It's getting kind of tough. Like, I mean, the writing gets really dense at times, and it's tough to follow along what they're talking about sometimes. But I think I got this one down. Anyway, that's about that for now. I will see you in the next video. Bye.